Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Sabythesimmer, aka Sabythesimmer. I hope you're doing well this Tuesday. So I am back with another base game family home. It is a pricey one because it is just base game and it can get pricey with base game. So I first of all just want to apologize for the background noise. I can't help it. It's my neighbor in the garden. I'm sorry for that background noise, but I can't help it. Also, it is on a 40 by 30 lot and it is 1,805. It's 185,639 simoleons. I'm always going to trip up when it comes to numbers. I'm always going to do that. So just prepare to see that and hear that. But it is 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. We've got 1 bedroom and a full bath downstairs. And then we've got 3 bedrooms upstairs. The parents' bedroom with their own ensuite. And then we have the 2 children's bedrooms upstairs with their own shared bathroom as well. The parents' bedroom, I kind of gave them their own I gave them their own kind of walk-in wardrobes kind of thing. And I was originally going to go with the children's bedrooms having a Jack and Jill bathroom, but I just wasn't sure where to place doors and things like that. Well, I was, but in the end I just decided not to, so I just gave them a bathroom in the middle of their bedrooms, and then they can go to it quite easily with no problems. But as usual, I do have a reference image for this build because I feel like I can't build without one. So here is the reference image I used to build this house, and if you see the reference image, it is just a white building, and I just felt like in The Sims I don't know how to make it look interesting, so I decided not to just go with all white. I decided to use that wood paneling. I was gonna say that base game paneling, it's a base game build. That wood paneling, that kind of it just looks like wood paneling, to be honest, and I just decided to put that onto some of the bump outs on the house because I just felt like if it was all white it would look really boring and plain, and I don't know how to make it look interesting, so that's what I did. I wasn't particularly the most happy with the way the front of the house looks in terms of the landscaping, but I really love how the garden came together. I had so many hiccups with this build because there were things that I just forgot. It was a mess. So the first time this was uploaded to the gallery, once I finished it, I forgot to play test it, and I forgot to go through the house. So those things that I had to change, things that I had to redo, and things like that, because I totally forgot. So yeah, learning experience. I need to remember to check over, fully check my builds before I post them to the gallery, because sometimes I just build them and I get so excited that it's done, I'm just yep, straight to the gallery, and I forget I got to play test it. I also got to make sure that everything works well and everything is in the right positions. So the roofing, I feel I think I've mentioned this before, but when it comes to the roofing and the floor plans and things like that, a lot of the time I do base the shape of the house and the floor plans and things like that based on, kind of the floor plan based on the roofing. I just find it so much easier if I can already see where I'm going to put the roof, what roof pieces I'm going to use. So I try sometimes to just bear that in mind. It's so much easier for me to do that as opposed to building a house and then figuring out roofing. I kind of do a bit of both at the same time because it just helps with it all coming together quite simply. I do tweak things anyway as we go into work out the floor plan and add the stairs and stuff. We do change things as well, we do tweak things, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm pretty used to doing that. I'm pretty used to having to move things around anyway, just because sometimes things don't work a certain way, or if you're planning on doing a room for a certain, I don't know, function, then it makes sense for you to just move things around as and when you need them to be moved around. So yeah, I don't really have any problems with moving things around, but I did have to shuffle some things around a little bit. But yeah, I don't think the roofing took that long to put together. I think it came together quite quickly, but it was just a matter of having to tweak things when I got in to do the floor plan. And I always think I don't know how to do floor plans, but then I do them and then I'm like, oh, okay, that works. But I think it's because I don't think of any floor plans that are super intricate and difficult. I literally just do boxes. So I feel like that's what makes it easier for me. I think don't stress yourself out if you don't need to. Just do some boxes, it's actually okay, and then just figure out how to make it look interesting, maybe with platforms and things like that, because in The Sims everything's so square and boxy it can look really basic sometimes. So I think just adding in extra little details here and there can slightly help. But I guess it's just The Sims, isn't it? There's not much you could do with it. You just have to work with what you've got, really, haven't you? So I go in with some fences, and like I said, I do go in with the wood paneling at the front, so I kind of match in a bit of the wood tones and the what do you call it, that fence that I put around the front of the house, like on the porch area, because otherwise it's just gonna be white, like the whole house would be white. So I just tried to bring in a little bit of like wood tones to kind of match in with the wood paneling that I ended up using. The windows, I kind of had in mind anyway of what windows I was gonna use, so that worked out pretty fine. When it comes to like base game builds, especially our farmhouse build, I feel like the windows that I used work really well, because when you look at like farmhouse builds, they kind of have these like big windows, but like they're very boxy. They're not really like fancy kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but in my mind it just made sense. The windows I used, they just fit the build. And I did make my own kind of front door because I didn't find a door that I really felt matched in with this build. And like from the reference image, there was like a brown door, but it was kind of rounded, and I just wasn't sure what to use. So in the end I just went with the two doors and put them together to make it look like it's one big door. And your Sims don't run into any issues. They'll just use it as one singular door, so you'll just see a Sim go in one door, the other Sim go through the other. It doesn't cause that many problems. And with the stair placement, I just felt like there was too much free space upstairs, so I ended up like cutting out little chunks of the like upstairs landing, so like from certain points in the house you can see downstairs basically. So I think near the back door, if you're on the second floor, you could probably see down there. And then I think also there's another cutout near the front of the house, so like if you're on the top floor, you can see maybe if someone's just coming through the door, the front door kind of thing. And I just did that because I felt like it needed something upstairs. And also, when I don't know what to do with the space, I just struggle, especially with landers, because what do you put in the upstairs landing? I mean, mine's tiny, so you can't put anything up here anyway. Anytime I think of like a landing that I've had in any of the homes I've lived in, they either just become places that you just put random stuff for just like storage, or it's just empty. I don't think there's much up there. Like, what could you really put up there? I only feel like in The Sims do they kind of turn out a bit more fancy with like a little accent table and like flowers and probably a mirror and things like that. But in real life, they just become extra storage space in my mind anyway. Oh yeah, and we have an office. There is an office downstairs, and like I said, a full bathroom as well. I do prefer to do like a little half bathroom, but because it just made sense with the space I had and the fact that there was a teen in the on the downstairs floor, I just feel like it made sense for her to have that as her bathroom. And any guest can basically just use that bathroom as well. So I did kind of gird it up a little bit with some like pink accents, because I had in mind of who the Sims were that were living in this house. So the teen is like girly. I feel like she wants to be this like next pop star, because when it comes to, sometimes I forget when it's a base game house, I need to remember to add in like skill building objects. I don't always remember to do that, and I don't do chess tables. I know when I watch other people, maybe like Little Simsy the most, because she does quite a few base game builds, she'll add in like a chess table for skill building and like an easel. But because I have a strong passion against making my Sims paint for money, don't ask me why, but I just feel like it's so like everyone does it, and I don't want to have every Sim that I have paint to make money or like be an artist. So I always avoid doing that, but it also means I'm left with thinking, what other skill building objects can I use that fit into a build quite naturally? And thank God now we have a telescope that is a decent size, because now you can put that into children's rooms quite easily, and I don't know if it builds up on your skill, but it's cute to have at least. So in the end, in the teens room, I ended up putting a microphone. So if you have seasons, then you can have your Sim practice singing, which that's what I did when I was like playtesting in the house. I just got the teen to go in there and practice singing, to be honest. And if you don't have seasons, if you just have base game, you can tell jokes from it. But I feel like if you want your Sim to be like a comedian, it didn't really fit into the vibe of the room. I kind of had that she wanted to be like this next pop star, but you can easily change the swatches around, change the bedroom around, and have your teen be in that room because they want to be a comedian, and that's the microphone that they use to practice their jokes, things like that. Then that's absolutely fine, to be honest. It's not really, I don't make my builds too restricted, I don't believe, so you can really customize it depending on your own storylines and how you play your games. I don't want my builds to be like so heavily storyline driven that you guys are like, now I don't know what to do with my Sims. So yeah, I did end up putting a platform up, and then I have the dining table on that platform, and then we have the kitchen in the back area, and then, well, not the back, but just in that same room we have the kitchen with an island, and then we have like a living space. It's like a casual chilled, well, no, it's not really casual, it's more of a formal sitting space. And then we've got the more informal kind of family room, which I've only started to do it in The Sims because I see other people do it, and like when I look at floor plans, a lot of the time they're like US based, so they have like two separate living spaces. I still find it quite weird. I don't know why, but I just do. I guess if you're someone who has like guests over, then you can have your own like intimate space that is like more for family, and then you can have a space where you just entertain. I think that's fine, but I don't know, it's just something I'm not really used to. So I think it's just interesting to see that kind of dynamic, but that kind of floor plan. It's weird to like figure out what do you put in a kind of a general living space and then the family living space. So I ended up just putting like a toy in there because I was like, I don't know what else to do. And I ended up using a bit more of like a colourful wallpaper. So I used that base game, well, it's a base game house. I used the one with the paneling and like the leaf print. I just decided to use that in the family living room because it felt a bit more homey, a bit more cozy, and a bit more like personal, as opposed to the other one just felt like it blended in a lot more with the dining room and the kitchen area. So I didn't want to make it too detailed, essentially. Well, not that it's too detailed, but I wanted it to feel a bit more like if you was having people over, that would be where you would direct them to. They would sit there and they would, you know, eat the food and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it makes sense to have that all together, because if you're entertaining guests, you probably want them near the kitchen or near the dining area so that you can just like eat and chill, that kind of thing. I did add in some spandrels because I needed the house to have a bit more detail, because otherwise it was just this white box really. So I added in some little not spandrels, what are they called, corbels, that's what they're called, corbels, after I did the paneling in the windows. And I always gravitate towards a dark roofed texture or black roof texture. I just gravitated towards the most. But in the farmhouse kind of build, they normally have that kind of, I don't know what you would call it, it kind of looks like it's metal, but I don't think it actually is metal. But that's the kind of roof texture that I would use typically for a farmhouse style home. And I don't know a lot about styles of homes, but when I look at farmhouses, they tend to have that similar kind of roof texture, so I just end up using that one. I don't feel like this is my favorite front exterior of the house. Like I don't really know what to do with the space. It was a lot of space. I was tempted to like move it closer to the front of the lot so that I had less space to work with. In the end, I was like, you know what, we're just gonna go with it, we're gonna push through. I don't know if I left it and came back, because sometimes if I feel a bit stuck, I will do that, because I just don't feel like it's necessary to like force myself to try and figure out then and there. And a lot of the time when you come back, you have like I feel like your vision changes or you see things differently, so I felt like it just made sense for me to leave and come back. But I don't remember if I did for this one. I know I did at some point. I think I left when I did the front exterior and came back to do the interior, and then I had a huge crash. I didn't have a huge crash. My game crashed when I finished literally furnishing all the rooms downstairs. I finished it and then my game crashed, so I had to redo all of that, which was like 2 hours of building. It was, well, 2 hours of furnishing really, because I had built the home already. So I was literally saving after every room after that, because I was like, I'm not redoing these rooms again. And I'm pretty sure I left it after that. I was like, you know what, I'm coming back the next day to finish the rooms. I'm not doing this right now. I'm not doing this. And thankfully I'm in a place now where I've got a few builds kind of like ready-ish to go up. Like this build I've had ready for at least a week now, and then I've got other builds that I filmed and haven't started to edit yet, but if I start to edit them, they'll be ready and I can just do voiceovers, which helps a lot, so I don't have to stress, because I'm a stress head. I like to stress myself out for no reason. So if this makes it easier for me, that's what I'm going to do really. I had 2 cars originally at the front, and then I just deleted one. I didn't feel like it fit to have so many cars. I guess it kind of does, because we have a teen, and maybe the teen drives, so yeah, as you can see, I'm slightly moving it forward. Because I'm just like, I just minimize the amount of space that I have to do the stuff with, and that'll be great. And then I just went in with terrain paints. I decided to use terrain paints for the like front area as opposed to like tiling, because one, I knew this house was going to be expensive, and obviously terrain paints are free. Well, obviously, but if you don't know, the terrain paints are free, so I feel like I can use them a bit more freely. And I had no idea what to do with the front space, and I don't think I've ever used fountains like this before. But I decided to just pop a fountain down. I did delete it and then put it back, because I was like, you know what, I actually don't know what else to put here, so this is going to have to work. But feel free to get rid of it, because I don't think it really adds a lot to the build, but I just don't know what to do with the space, if I'm honest. So I just put a little fountain there. I was going to make my own, like use the fountain tool and make a fountain and like add details and stuff to it, but honestly, I just was a bit stuck when it came to the front. I didn't know what to do fully. And I did end up changing the terrain paints anyway to like a bit more of a, what would you call it? Pebble kind of style, I think that's what it would be. Someone's really playing music right now, so I really have to make a whole announcement when I'm doing these voiceovers so that everyone can shut up. But yeah, I'm gonna just neaten up all the terrains and create a bit of a shadow kind of underneath the fountain, because I feel like if there's no terrain paints under it, it can just look really flat and like just there. So I tried to blend it in slightly as best as I could. and then we add some lights and stuff. I'm starting to think maybe I'll just cut out the bit when I add like exterior and interior lights, because this is a long build as it is. So I don't know if you guys are interested if I just cut that out, or if you want to keep it in. I don't know. I don't think it's super interesting, but it's just one of those things I add in some like lights. And then once I've done with the landscaping, I go in with a foundation and add the stairs and everything like that. I don't remember if I took the foundation down again, if I had to take it down for the back garden. I can't actually remember. I can't actually remember, because I know what I did with the back garden and I had troubles with it because I ended up putting the outside dining and barbecue area on a platform, and I lifted it up and then I put it down again because I'm doing landscaping around it. And when I posted this to the gallery originally, the platform that I put outside was down, so it just looked like this area that was just like separate, but like it looked so much better with a platform. But I yeah, totally forgot. So that was that. And as you can see, I've just added some furniture outside because there was like a nice little porch area and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just decided to add some seating with a little table with a little teapot thingy. I wish we had more clutter like that, like teapots. I know they came with like cottage living, and I believe the wedding pack comes with a tea set. I don't really need it to be functional that much. Like, I'm okay if it's not, but just like more things that you can put on tables and stuff in gardens and yeah, things like that. Because like, I don't know what else to put out here. So I end up putting some flower boxes at the window, or window boxes, whatever you call them. And I also got some planters as well out there. I don't know if I mentioned that. I did have to pause for a second because my brother disturbed me, which I think he always does when I'm doing a voiceover, and it's very annoying. But yeah, here is me doing a little spaceship outside. I originally was going to go do a tree house, but I think I've only done like 1 or 2 tree houses in The Sims before. And I honestly couldn't remember how I did it. It didn't feel like it was working for me. So instead I was like, you know what, let's try something different. So I went with like a spaceship or like a rocket ship kind of vibe. And it's basically just a playroom. It's just for your child Sims to go in there, play around with their friends. You can have them like order a pizza and sit up here with their friends and like watch TV. I put the little penguin TV up here, but I could have also put the other base game ones, like do you know the really like small boxy ones that look like they're old TVs? I think that would have looked cute in here as well, because it kind of would have looked like, oh, it was just like the parents' old TV that they given to them or something like that. So yeah, you could do that. But I've never done this before, so it was a learning experience. I'm pretty proud of the way it turned out in terms of the exterior. It looks kind of like a spaceship. It works. It does what it needs to do. And I wasn't sure how to decorate the exterior of it too much. I just wasn't sure what a spaceship would look like if it was like a toy, or not a toy, but like a playroom. And then I end up like putting that under some sand because I just thought it was cute. And I was watching. It was Little Simsy. She was touring some builds that she did from a shell that she posted up. And someone had put like this spade and bucket and then this, I don't even know. It looks like a castle, but I think it's actually from the clay where you can mold things. I think that's where it's from. And I saw someone do that and I was like, yep, stealing that idea. I can't actually remember who it was, but if I remember the, I'm going to go back on the video and just put the credit down of like who the person was in that build, because I don't remember who it was. I just remember watching the video and seeing that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I hate the fact that when you use a platform, the fences raise up around it. Like, I just wish that wasn't a thing, because like it's really hard to make everything look cohesive when you have to now go in with a, what do you call it, a half wall, and like the walls change color if you change anything, you move it. It's frustrating. But in the end, I just made it work, didn't I? And then I don't feel like I used these counters enough, and I felt like they worked in the garden because they just felt like a wood top kind of style, and they matched in with the dark tables and chairs. I just felt like they fit pretty well. And I'm going to start doing this thing now where I just pull out all the clutter that I'm going to use and then show you guys me placing them, as opposed to like me going through the catalogue to find anything, because that honestly takes forever. When I cut them out, I'm pretty sure it's cutting through a good couple of minutes of footage of me scrolling through the same base game catalogue that I've had for ages, trying to figure out what to put there. So yeah, as you can see, I've just pulled out a bunch of the debug items to put into these little debug flower bed things. I think you see them a lot more in Oasis Springs, but I decided to try them out and use them because I don't use them often, and I thought it might be a good thing to try out, or like just, I don't know, make the garden look a bit more interesting. It kind of just makes it look like it's a flower bed, and I kind of moved them a little bit to make it look like it's really separated from the floor. And I feel like it works really well. I like the way it turned out. And this is the platform that I'm talking about. I put this on a platform, and then the one I put up in the gallery originally, this platform wasn't up because I had to do landscaping around it. There's also a pool in this build, as well as the like the little spaceship rocket play area for the children. And also, if I didn't say, I'm pretty sure the clip already went past, but I put in the monkey bars as well, because otherwise what else the children really get to play with? Nothing really. And then I just use that kind of like orangey tile for that platform outside, because I didn't know what other tile to use, but I kind of liked the contrast of it. Like, it was quite bright compared to the rest of the exterior, because the spaceship's probably not that bright. And then I went with the pool, and that is grey, to be honest. I just put down some stone and that was pretty grey. So originally I put the pool down and I raised the foundation. I was like, oh, I forgot you could raise the foundation of a pool. So in the end I deleted it and then came back and did the foundation first and then added the pool, because the way I did it, it just didn't work very well. So yeah, I just changed it and it worked out fine. But I like the idea of it being on a little foundation. I wish I'd raised up a bit more so that you could sit in the pool and really see a lot of what was happening in the garden. But I didn't want it to be like super high. I just wanted it to be slightly higher than the platform, and I feel like it's not even that much higher. And then I end up putting stairs. I don't actually put the stairs along the whole of that area. I do change it. And then I just like put hedges around it, the debug ones. Because when a house is going to be this big and it's going to be just base game, it's going to be expensive. So I'm going to use the most amount of debug landscaping I can possibly use. There are the odd times where I'll use like just the build and buy landscaping. And most of the time it's like the oopsie daisies, because that's the only thing that I can't normally find in debug. I'm pretty sure they're in debug. I think they are anyway, but I could just never find them. So yeah, I just go with the rest of the debug landscaping really. And I've just like fenced it all in with the hedges. And I actually do add some more hedges. I do add some more hedges around the edges when I move the stairs in a bit more. And then I add in some chairs as well next to the pool. And it ended up sizing up the duck, like the toy duck in the pool, to make it kind of seem like it's something that the children could sit on and like float on, like a floaty. I don't know why I decided to do that, but I just did, and I was like, it looks kind of cute. It makes it look like, you know, it's a family home and they've got toys there. I mean, if you have island living, you can put the actual usable floaties in there and not this giant duck. It is kind of weird to look at, I'll be honest. It's a weird thing to see if you was to glance at it, but that was the vibe that I went for. This is just me putting together all the bits and bobs for the rocket. I went with that table because I felt like maybe the bottom floor could be where they pretend that they're riding a spaceship and all that kind of stuff, and like they're about to launch off, I don't know. And then the upstairs is where they can chill, and I put a bunch of like random stuff upstairs, and like a lot of like robot stuff and like alien looking toys. And do you know it, you can get like in the jars, you can get like these alien like weird creatures in the jars, and then the what do you call it, the glass tanks. I just put them up there as well to make it seem like they've like collected these weird looking spaceship things. And then I sliced up the alien gnome, because obviously, you know, if you've got a spaceship, you're gonna have to have a guard. And I just thought it was really funny to have like this alien gnome as like the guard of the spaceship in the garden. I don't know, I really got into my like childlike self there. I really had a good old time trying to put together this garden and like figure out what would be in this play space for these children. And I ended up going in with like most of the back being stone, and I wasn't sure if I should like make more areas for your Sims to sit and do things, but with base game there's just so little to do in the garden really, so I just left it as it was. And then I just added in some like flower pots near the edge of the fence, and then I added these stepping stones, and I actually do clear out some in the middle area and just put some landscaping in the middle of that. So yeah, I just feel like I like the idea of creating a little clear path of like where you can walk along. And I feel like this is the kind of garden where like you have people around, you have guests over, you are entertaining, and it just, yeah, made sense to just make it a bit more, I wouldn't say formal, but just a like not too kid-like. Like, it is a family home, but they entertain, they probably have a big like extended family, so there's probably lots of cousins and aunts and uncles and things, so they have a lot of people around all the time. So I felt like this space just kind of reflected that, of like, you can have your children play around and do what they want to do, and then you can have the kind of adults chilling at the front. And this is me kind of creating that space where I just box it up and then add in some like more, what do you call it, landscaping from debug little, I think they're the aloe vera plants. I can't remember if it's these ones or the other ones, because there's like a few different types of these plants. And I really like what I did with the terrain paints here. I don't normally use the like flower, grass, terrain tools that much, but I decided to put it there, and I just lightened up the texture a bit and then added in some like dirt texture to make it seem like there's, I don't know, it just gives it a bit more of a dimension, I think. So it looked cute when I finished with it. So we move on to the inside, the dining table, and the dining room. When I first uploaded this to the gallery, there was a random object floating in the sky, because I put the dining table down, and then I put 2 accent tables on the side, and then I put stuff out that I was going to put on there, and then I changed one of the accent tables because I didn't like the idea of them being exactly the same. And then me changing them meant that I moved all the stuff off of it, and I forgot to put all the stuff back. So when I looked back at the build that I uploaded to the gallery the first time around, there was just this floating globe, and I was just like, oh my goodness, bro. And I can't believe people downloaded it at the time, because I was like, well, then again, they couldn't see those mistakes until they've downloaded it, so it's a bit of a shame that. But I did delete it and then re-upload the one where I've actually gone through the checks and lifted up platforms and done all the things I needed to do. And originally I only had the dining area on a platform, but then I go through and change it so that the kitchen is on a 2-tile platform, and then I've kind of like knocked down the wall, so you just have a step down basically. And then, so the only way to get on the dining, you can get on the kitchen because it's only one tile up from the living space, and then the dining table you can't get to from the living space. You'd have to walk along the kitchen basically, because I didn't want to add stairs because it would just make the space look too small, I think, or just like create too much of a problem. So yeah, in the end I just didn't bother, and I've only put cabinets on each side of the build because I didn't want it to like clip into windows and stuff, so I just left it like that. And I've just cluttered up all the sides. I wasn't sure what the parents would do, like what their career is and things like that. Sometimes I like it to have in mind of what they do and who they are, but I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe the dad is a writer, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I normally have an idea of who the parents are, who exactly is living here, but I feel like I had a stronger idea of who the Sims were for the children as opposed to the adults, which is kind of interesting. But I feel like it's just easier to do kids' rooms and children's rooms and things like that, because you just can put a bit more personality into it. Not necessarily with the base game, it is a struggle sometimes with just the base game, but I think I got there in the end, to be fair. And I actually picked out a rug first, which I don't normally do. I normally pick up furniture and then add all the accessories essentially afterwards, but I've got a rug in first for the little main, well, yeah, well, I guess it would be the main living space, because if you come in the house, on the left is the main living space, the dining room and the kitchen, so I guess that would be like the main room. And then on the right you have the teens bedroom, you have the family space, you also have like the main, like a bathroom downstairs as well, and then like in the middle where the stairs are, you have a little walkway and you have an office. But yeah, I'm not sure what the dad does or what the parent does who's using that office. I just made a generic office, to be fair. I don't feel like I added in loads and loads of detail because I really wasn't sure who was in there, what they did. I wasn't sure what color to add. So the office is just a standard office. It's useful. It's got all the things you need, so it's not lacking in any way, but I just didn't know the person who was using the office basically. And then I go in with the hallways, the entryway. I just added all the sconces, all the little details like shoe racks and the clothes rack and a little rug. I also use like the grandfather clock and a little bag at the front. I always do this if I'm doing a family home. I love having a random like school bag somewhere because it's pretty realistic. Like, I don't think children always keep their things in a certain place, and I say that with quotation marks because, you know, I feel like when you have children, is there really a place for everything? Probably not, because it's just everywhere. But yeah, I just like the idea of putting things around to be like, hint hint, there's a child living here, or there's a child here, which is why I kind of like to do like a toy on the coffee table or something, just to like be like, yeah, there's a child here somewhere. And although the toys should be in the box, they're not. That's just how I think of it. And I didn't realize there was this really pretty red lamp in base game. I need to figure out a way of using it. I put it in the office, but realistically, I prefer it in another build. I just don't know which build, but I didn't realize it was such a pretty lamp. I didn't even realize we had that in base game, let alone that swatch. So I will be using that in the future. I ended up putting blinds in the, what do you call it? Office, as opposed to like curtains. I think it works. Oh yes, this is the teen's bathroom. So she has this bathroom all for herself. She does have to share it with guests when people come over, but this is her bathroom essentially. I've got a shower, a bath. I put the I put the bath on a platform. I've squeezed in the little cabinet and the, what do you call it, the laundry basket. We've got the pink robe. I did want to make it like kind of girly and like for her, because it's her bathroom essentially. In my mind, I wanted her to be the kind of like pop star. And so in her room, I always kind of miss out on skill building items, but in her room I did give her a microphone because I just felt like it made sense to give her the space to be able to practice singing. I don't know if I mentioned this already because I did have to restart this voiceover, so I can't remember if I mentioned that. Apologies if I did. And then I put a bunch of clutter on her, what do you call it, cabinets in the bathroom, because it just made sense for her to have all their bits and bobs in there. And I didn't realize it's really more of a US thing to have all your like cosmetics and things in the bathroom. I feel like I'm I feel like it's more normal to see people get ready in their bedrooms as opposed to like straighten their hair and do all that kind of stuff in bathrooms. So like I've seen a lot of TikToks about people who've come to the UK or London and like they're just like, oh, you guys don't have outlets in your bathroom? I'm like, what for? Like the only thing you need one for is like for the toothbrush if you have like an electric one. But even then, I think, do you have an outlet for that, or can you plug it in somewhere? I don't even know. I don't have an electric toothbrush, and I think the one time I did, it was a battery powered one, so I just put batteries in there. I didn't have to worry too much. But yeah, it's interesting to think of the different dynamics of how certain rooms are. Did I talk through the teens room? Or did I do that after the living space? I am in confusion. Because I'm pretty sure I did the teen space then living space, but maybe I did it the other way around. I think I've talked through it, I don't even know. But this is the family living space. And this is where they all chill together. Oh, okay, no. I did the living room first and then the teens room. I was like, how did I talk for the teens room? It didn't come together that quick. But no, I did the living space. It's pretty like green and like homey and cozy. I don't know what else I had in there other than stuff for them to sit and watch TV together. Basically, they've got a fireplace in there as well. I decided to scrap the wardrobes that we've got in here and just go with the cabinets to match the ones that I've used behind the bed as like a headboard. And if you raise items up, oh my gosh, it was so satisfying to raise items up and them sit perfectly on that on the cabinets without having to worry about it floating and things like. It was just so satisfying to raise those items up and just have them sit there perfectly. The teen has got a TV, they've got a stereo in their room. I just imagine that they're constantly watching superstars and kind of like singers and artists and things like that. She's definitely inspired by a lot of it and wants to become a big pop star, so that's what I kind of try to replicate in that room. It's got our own like, what do you call it, corner desk? I was gonna say square desk. Corner desk moment going on there with the TV and the stereo, and I wasn't sure what pictures to use. I ended up using the ones with like the llama and the I can't even remember what other animals, sloth I think it is. I don't know what else to put in there. So I just went with those ones for the teens room. I struggle with the paintings and things like that because I never know what to put in there. And then I also went in with like a feature wall with something like the pink floral feature wall because I didn't know what else to do in the room and like make it stand out a bit because it was just too white. And I do that in all the rooms. I go in and be like, okay, I'm actually gonna give them a feature wall because it's just too white. So I only show you me furnishing the downstairs bathroom. All the other bathrooms I've kept with the same theme, the same style. I've raised the baths on the platform. The upstairs bathrooms differ slightly, but they're pretty much the same, and you'll see them in the screenshots as well. But this is the child's room that I kind of based who would be playing around a lot more in the spaceship in the garden. Like, he loves space. This was built and completed before we got the, what do you call it, the smaller telescope. So you could easily put this in this room and it could be perfect for a child who loves space and, you know, looking at stars and stuff. So I feel like that could fit in really well. So I just went with a lot of like blues and oranges and yellows. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how I put together this room. I always go with like colors and like stick to that kind of theme. So it's not super like, it doesn't have to be super like gendered, but in mind I had a boy, so I just kind of like did what I would do, to be honest. And then this room, it's for like the preteen I had in mind. And then in my mind I was like, you know what, I really want to go with this like preteen who loves animals. Maybe she wants to be a vet. If you have cats and dogs, you can become a veterinarian. Well, I think you don't necessarily become one, but I think you can own a vet center, whatever it's called, a veterinary. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. You can own it and then you could run it basically. So I thought maybe that's her kind of passion in life. But she's a preteen, so she's like coming out of that child's like stage, but she just loves animals and things like that. So I went with like this grey kind of theme in the room, and I didn't know how to make it look a bit more like coming out of that childlike state, but also like maturing slightly. I didn't know what to add to it, so I think in the end I went with like greys and purples and blues because that's the best way I could like figure out a color scheme for a room. And it's kind of hard because not everything always matches in The Sims. And this is the first build that I've done where every room has a little bin. I don't normally put bins in bedrooms because I don't really need them, but I kind of like the extra added detail of like having a little bin in their room. So she's got one with like ladybugs on it, which I thought was cute. And then I just give them a little desk as well. They've got desks to do their homework on and read or something. I don't know. They got a chair to read as well. I put the little pinboard up there because I feel like they always have to put a pinboard. And then I remembered we have a bunch of space looking pictures and stuff from, like, if you put in the cheats, like the unlockable cheats, and like not move objects, the, what do you call it, show hidden objects, so hidden live edit objects, then you can see all the paintings and stuff that you can get if you use the telescope, the observatory, I think. Then you can get those paintings, and I just put one in the room because I remembered, yep, they're like space, it works, it fits. And so this is the main parents' room, which I believe is the last room that we do. And I've done it so that they have their own kind of walk-in wardrobes. So this one would be, I would say, the mums, but obviously you can make it for whoever you want. I've just put a little bit of like details on there, like the perfumes, and like, I think I used the, what do you call it, the little nail polishes. And I put these hanging clothes. I move them slightly so we can fit in this wardrobe, and so it just fits in a bit more neatly. And we've got a mirror. I put down a little like poof chair thing. I don't know what you would call this chair, but I put that down in there. Even though they've got a chair so they could sit at the desk, I tried to make it look like a vanity basically. And then this is what I did for like the dad's side. I didn't know what to do with it, to be honest. I was like, if a guy, like a very stereotypical guy basically, was to have his own wardrobe, what would be in it? And I was like, clothes in places, like he's got his shirts folded out but he doesn't put them away, a laundry basket in there. I don't know, maybe the mum's like, I don't want the laundry basket in my room, so he's just put it in his little section. And I've just opened them up with archways. I could have like put some curtains over it to make it look like you can close the curtains and like hide that stuff away, but I think in The Sims everything's so put together nicely, like things don't normally look like so messy that you have to hide them, like in real life where you're just like, I'm gonna hide this because it's a mess. And because this room has like so much space, I had to do a little sitting area. It only made sense because I don't normally do this in builds, but I find if I do a base game build, sometimes I end up with too much space and I'm like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to fill that space up. So I just did give them a little seating area, and they've got a TV in the room as well, and they got a little, yeah, got a little seating area, they can chill. Originally I put shelves right next to the door coming into the bedroom, and my sim couldn't get through and I wasn't sure what it was, and I was so annoyed, and I realized it was just a shelf, so I removed it. So the one up on the gallery only has one shelf, and the one that you'll see here has two shelves. I can't remember if the screenshots were taken before I moved the shelf or not, so it might look slightly different. And then I didn't know what to put on the shelves, because what do you put on shelves when nothing really snaps up to there? And I did put this little corner thing in there, and I was like, you know what, it's not so specific that it has to be in a kitchen or anything, so I felt like it could work quite easily in a bedroom. I didn't think it was too like specific to one room, so I did sneak it into the bedroom and it looks pretty cute. But I think this is pretty much it, so I'm gonna wrap up here before I talk over the end of the video. I can't even get my words out. But you're gonna see all the screenshots that come up. This build is up in the gallery if you want it. My gallery ID is Sabythesimmer. I hope you have a great day. All the links for me on socials are in the description, so do have a look at them if you want to see me and on all the socials on the interwebs. But yeah, take care guys, I'll see you soon on Thursday. I'll see you on Thursday for a new video. Take care, bye.